I want to get your reaction to Pete breaking a record that you held for going on 4 decades.
Well, first of all, I just want to say congratulations again to Pete. What an outstanding young man he is, and to be able to stay and play in New York and play under the pressure, and I say stay because he came back and he didn't leave when he was a free agent. So that's a good start right there. And I think what people have to realize, records are meant to be broken. I think former players need to applaud the players who achieve such great things. We need to cheer them on. We need to be like the backbone for them. Our career is over. My career is done. I've had success. I put those numbers up, and they stood for a very long time. Pete has worked extremely hard to get to where he needed to get. Being healthy, staying consistent, not listening to the noise, even though the noise is out there and everybody has something to say. Even sometimes people have critique players. I don't critique players. That's not who I am. When I see players, I think of them just like I was. When you run out there on the field, you want to be the best player that you can possibly be for your fans. And Pete has done that. He has done that for this fan base and this franchise. So he deserves all that he is getting for breaking the record.
You mentioned the fan base. You know it very well. Darryl spent so many years here. Why do you think the Mets fan base connects so well with homegrown players?
Well, I think it's special to them because they really hadn't seen a lot of players come through the organization for a long time. When you think about Seaver and when you think about guys like that came through that was early in their career, like Mookie Wilson, Huey Brooks, guys that were like that came through the organization. And then you have some players that was close to getting there. A guy like Tim Leary, he was close to being a great player until he hurt himself. And then, that young generation started to develop. And when I was coming through, I think we had so many young, talented players that had a chance to break through with myself and Doc Gooden, and you can go on and on with all the younger players that we had that came through the organization. And then when you see younger players like David Wright and Reyes come through, and then you see Pete come through and Nimmo, guys like that, when you see homegrown players, it's special. I mean, because when you look across over in the Bronx, they have nothing but young talent that come through their organization. And it's time for people to start to recognize that the Mets have had some great young players come through their farm system and develop and become great players at the major league level. And it's not easy to do. And I think a lot of times people think, well, you're just going to get to the big leagues and you're going to have great success and you're not going to have some struggles. We're all going to have our struggles, and Peter's had his share of struggles just like anybody else, and he'll tell you that too. But the thing about it I like about the younger players and the homegrown players is they don't quit. They fight. They have a lot of fight in them, and Pete has shown that. He's had a lot of fight in him from day one and up to this point now, breaking the home run record and being the home run king for the New York Mets.
Hey, Darryl, it's Todd. Hey, a couple of times you've mentioned during this conversation about being a homegrown player, about being a guy. It's a matter as a guy on a personal note that played for 11 organizations. I never really found that I had a legacy that I could look back on with one organization. And I know you've talked about that a little bit. Do you have any advice that you would give somebody like Pete, or Pete specifically, about what it's like to be a guy that could potentially be a New Yorker for life? Or is that something that he's just got to kind of learn on his own?
Well, no, I mean, of course you got to learn it on your own. I mean, it's up to him. It's going to be the final decision to him. Do I stick and stay around and make history here? He's already making history for himself, becoming the leader of the home run. Okay, now he has a chance maybe to stick and play for the next 4 or 5 years or whatever it may be that he's going to play, and how long he's going to play and stay healthy and leave a tremendous legacy for himself. That's what baseball's all about, is being able to leave a legacy for yourself and put your stamp on it and say, I came to a place. Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, but did I perform? Yes, I stood under it, and stood up to it, because you have to stay in the fire of it, because if you don't, playing in New York, they will either run you out of there or you will stick around and go through the storms that you have to go through. And I think Peter's done a tremendous job with that. He's been a great player for this fan base to be able to stand up and perform. I think his next step is just is looking at the window of the opportunity of winning. And that's the most important thing. I mean, you could he's going to go on and break a lot of records there. But the most important thing he want to focus on, and he'll probably tell you more than anything. So the records are great and the numbers are great, but winning will be everything if I can win a championship here.
You know what? He talks about that all the time, and he spoke about it last night, and I think that really is refreshing. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you one more, just kind of off the legacy piece of it. Raw power. You had amazing, just easy swing. The ball jumped off your bat. We recognized your power from the beginning. When you look at Pete, is there anybody that you've seen in the last 20, 30 years that you can compare with that kind of raw power that you can see the ball jump off the bat the way it does for Pete Alonso?
Not really, because, most guys don't hit the ball the other way like that. When you think about a guy that hit the ball the opposite field like that consistently was Mike Piazza. He was a guy that can hit the ball the other way, hit the ball out of the ballpark. But Pete has a tremendous power to all fields. He does not have to pull the baseball. He can stay straight up. He can square the ball up and hit it the other way. And when that ball do come in, that's just an automatic swing for you to be able to pull that. But his power to right center is going to be the key for him to continue to have great success and go on that way. As you notice this year, he's a lot different than he was last year. And, he was chasing a lot more pitches and swinging at the ball away instead of staying on the baseball. So he's staying on the baseball longer going the other way, and it's helping him be more successful as a power hitter, because power hitters have to stay on the baseball at all times. When you're not going to be that 300 hitter, nobody's looking for you to be that. You're a guy that's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark all over the place, and you're going to drive in a lot of runs. And that's what's so great about Pete. He has come back to himself this season, and he just kind of really showed everybody, okay, everybody passed on me. That's a good thing sometimes when everybody passes on you, because, see, you have something to prove to yourself, and he's doing that. He's proving it to himself, and he doesn't have to prove it to anybody else.